Hello. My lighting. Okay, I think it's better.
Hi.
Hello.
Good to see everyone.
Hello.
So we start the course. It's going to be a busy 2 hours. So we're going to kick off the course right now. Thank you all for signing on for this course. You're very special and you're doing such great work. I'm going to share my screen and then we start the course. So you may kindly mute yourself. Thank you very much. So as you may have received in your email, the first 25 minutes or so of this course is going to be an opening ceremony. That's the tradition here at Pali for our new executive students. So we do want to especially welcome you. And so I'm going to start with the opening ceremony. So the first 20 minutes of the class and opening ceremony, and we're going to be doing our anthem. Pali has an anthem that we sing at the start of each class. It's a Pan-African anthem. It turns out to be the national anthem of a number of countries here in Africa. We will take a short message from one of our alumni who is in class. We'll take a very brief message from our Chief Academic Director in the person of Dr. Jordan. She's at an event today, so she won't be with us throughout the class, but she's joining us to give a brief remark. And then, of course, we have our Chancellor giving us his welcome address. And right after that, we go straight into the class. Before that, I have a couple of things I want to share with you about Pali as we start this important course. So this is my opening remarks. My name is Kofi Osei-Kusi, and I serve as president of the Pan-African Leadership Institute. And so this is a brief about Pali. It's important that you get to know where you are virtually. Pali was established in June 2020. This is about early COVID, and Pali started running its courses last year in February. The courses here at Pali are focused on specific professional areas for leaders. We find ourselves as leaders generally in very specific areas like corporate leaders, entrepreneurial leaders for the business people, political leaders, traditional leaders, philanthropic leaders, youth leaders, and so on and so forth. And so the courses here at Pali are focused on these specific areas of leadership. Pali offers a very rich curriculum that is pragmatic and places African wisdom at the center of it. Pali is Pan-African, and we recognize that there is a lot of wisdom here in Africa, and we ensure that we don't leave out African wisdom as we speak and share about leadership, advancing the wisdom that this continent has always possessed, which has never been trumpeted very much. But yet this is the time that we get to hear more about that and learn and lead the African way. Our values here at Pali includes Pan-Africanism, which is seeing Africans on the continent and Africans in the diaspora, like Africans in the Caribbean, Africans in the US, in Europe, in Australia. Pan-Africanism is simply seeing the unity among Africans everywhere they find themselves and the need for us to work together, because nobody's going to develop Africa for us. We have to develop Africa ourselves, and we can only do that when we come together. Second value of Pali is innovation, cultural intelligence, excellence, and people skills. Pali's focus is to develop holistic, entrepreneurial, and conscientious leaders. Here at Pali, we have our concept of leadership. There are more than 600 definitions of leadership in the world. And so as an institution, when we say leadership, it's important that we all have one thing that we're talking about. Otherwise, we're going to be singing from very different pages of the same book. So it's important that we understand that when Pali says leadership, what do we mean? Firstly, leadership here at Pali is Ubuntu, which is a South African word, and it is the African worldview, which says that I am because we are. In other words, here in Africa, we believe we are very interconnected. And so leadership is not about just yourself. It's not about being selfish. It's about realizing the connection between you and other people, between you and the people you get to serve. We have an image of leadership that is based on the Siamese crocodile. This is a crocodile or symbolizes a crocodile that is joined in the stomach. It has 2 heads, it has 2 tails, it has 4 eyes, 8 legs, 8 feet, and yet it has 1 stomach. It is an Adinkra symbol, originally invented by some of the people in Ghana here. And it talks about unity. It talks about the need for us to see ourselves as one people. The Siamese crocodile represents cooperation, different cultures. It symbolizes humanity, diversity, and the need for us to serve one another, as well as work together for the good of humanity. The Pan-African Leadership Institute leader must lead with a mindset of Ubuntu and a sense of interconnectedness, which is depicted by the Siamese crocodile. On this particular course, this is the 8th course run by Pali. It's going to be running for 4 weeks on 4 Saturdays, as you know. Enrolled on this course are 44 philanthropic leaders from 8 countries, namely Nigeria, Ghana, Uganda, Zimbabwe, Jamaica, Brazil, United Kingdom, and the USA. We especially welcome our continuing students who are back in class, leaders from different walks of life that have been through our courses, that see the value that Pali provides and for which you are back to keep on growing. We salute you and we thank you for coming back. And especially to our new executive students, we extend a very warm welcome to you. We believe that you will join our alumni who say great things about what they learned and the transformation they have received. And hopefully this will be the beginning of a stronger relationship with you. A few housekeeping notes for this course. You have received the course syllabus. And so we urge you to go through it. You know, this is not a course for young people. It's not a course for children. It's not a course for little students. It's a course for executives, for leaders, some of whom have served in parliament, some of whom are mayors of cities, some of whom are business leaders. So it's not a course to push people hard. It's a course because you are so matured and experienced that you lead yourself. We expect that you kindly check your emails regularly as part of being well positioned to receive the information that comes out for the course. So please check your emails and go through the syllabus and do email the professors with any questions that you have. For the first week, today's class, I'm going to be leading today's class, so I'll introduce myself properly when we start. The second week will be led by Dr. Jackson. He is such a philanthropic leader who has built a 3 million project in Uganda and also has a massive presence in the United States. He's an African with strong roots in Africa from very humble beginnings that deserves to be recognized. And he's going to be sharing a lot of deep stuff for all of us as philanthropic leaders. Week 3, we have our Pali leadership professor, Dr. Jordan, leading the class. And week 4 is a wisdom workshop with some extremely experienced philanthropic leaders. And so there is a lot for you. Number 3 is you have received a link to be able to access Moodle. Moodle is an online classroom. Please, you're required to log in. You're required to go there and access the great materials that are there. In Moodle, you'll find the videos of each class. So this class is being recorded, so you can listen to it If a part of the class, your network was not very good, you go back into Moodle and then go over it. The slides are there, they are reading materials, the case studies, and so on and so forth. Number 4 or number 5, please, it's important you know the group you belong to. We're going to be sharing the groups with you. We're going to be sharing the groups with you in the course of this week. We do self-introductions, but we're not doing it on week 1. We may do it week 2 or week 3. So you're going to have a chance to briefly talk about who you are so everyone can know you. But more importantly, within your small groups, we urge you to introduce yourselves because your network is your net worth. And there will be a group assignment as well as individual assignments. All right, so this is the course that you are here on. And once again, I especially welcome you to the Pan-African Leadership Institute for this Philanthropic Leadership Professional course. We kindly remind you to rename yourself on Zoom whenever you jump on the course. We need your real names, please, and country. So it's a regular thing. As soon as you jump on in class, do let us know you, because our Dean of Executive Students is in the background checking who is in class and who should not be in class. So it's important that we get to know you. All right, so at this stage, we take the anthem, after which we take a quick message from the alumni, and then we're just about to start class for today. Thank you again for enrolling for this course. Pali's anthem is entitled Inko Africa. This song became the Pan-African song, and versions of it were later adopted by a number of countries in Africa as their national anthem. And this song says, Lord bless Africa. May her horn rise high, hear our prayers and bless us. Bless our chiefs. May they remember their creator, fear him and revere him. Bless our public men like yourselves. Bless all the youth that they may serve their nations with patience. Bless the wives and all the young women. Bless the ministers of faith of this continent. Bless our agriculture and livestock. Banish farming and diseases and fill the land with good health. Bless our efforts of union and self-reliance, of education and mutual understanding. Lord, bless Africa and bless us. Let's please take our anthem right away. Thank you.
Malubaga Yesu kondolwayo isa imitanaso yetu sigele china lusapulwayo Osisikelele Afrika Malubaga Yesu kondolwayo isa imitanaso yetu sigelela china lusapulwayo Urena buruga sichaba sa Yesu ofrelise tikare matswenye usebologe more auze sichaba sa Yesu sichaba sa Afrika Magube chalo, use ubembuna kakaje, use ubembuna kakaje.
Thank you very much. And I hope you enjoy the anthem. We should kindly take a welcome message from one of our alumni. It's going to be delivered by the Honorable John Majisi. He's a former member of the Parliament of the Republic of Ghana. He's a philanthropist and a social entrepreneur. He is a graduate from the Pali Personal MBA course, as well as the Corporate Leadership course. So he has gone through 2 courses here at Pali, and he's also an executive student on this Philanthropic Leadership course. So please, let's welcome Honorable John Majisi to deliver a brief speech on behalf of our alumni. Thank you. Is Honorable in class? I saw him at the beginning. Yeah, Honorable, please unmute yourself. Hello, Honorable. Honorable, please unmute yourself. Okay, I see him here. I don't know. Okay. I think at this juncture, let's see if is Chancellor here. Is that the, yes, Chancellor, I think I'm gonna let you go whilst we wait for Honorable. Yeah, yes, sir.
All right. Good afternoon, good evening, everybody.
Chancellor, 1 second, please. Let me do the honors. Let me do the honors. Let me do the honors. All right. All right. So we're trying to get Honorable is in class. I don't know about his connection, but let me please introduce the Chancellor here at the Pan-African Leadership Institute in the person of Mr. Ade Adebajo. He is the Chief Executive Officer of UT Financial Services Nigeria. He is an astute business leader with over 2 decades of experience in investment banking, real estate, hospitality. He has businesses in UK, Ghana, Nigeria, the Middle East, and so on. He serves on many different boards, and we're very honored to have him as the Chancellor of this institute. So please, let's take the welcome address from the Chancellor. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And I want to welcome everybody who's a new student now. Good evening, good afternoon, depending on where you are. And it's a very good day today. I hope everybody is having a very nice time. I want to warmly welcome you to the Pan-African Leadership Institute. For me, this is one of the best places where you can learn. It's a focused organization. It's an organization that has passion for leadership, for training, and I have seen people come and go with various testimonials. It's been tremendous since we started Pali. So I want to welcome you warmly into a family, a school, and a learning center of excellence. You will never regret joining Pali. I can tell you that for free. Everybody that I have personally sent to Pali has come out better, and they have come out with good testimonials. I have seen people in my office change for the better because they attended this institute. And that's why I cannot but keep thanking Dr. Kofi for this initiative, as well as the other lecturers, Dr. Jordan. I also want to thank our administrator, Nina. Everybody has been fantastic, and there's been no complaints whatsoever. God bless you for the hard work you do. To the students, again, I say welcome. And I'm particularly thrilled because this topic is one after my own heart. Philanthropic leadership. I strongly believe that anybody who's going to attend this course must be driven by passion, you must be driven by purpose, and you must be driven by a mission. That's why you are on this course. It's because there's something burning inside of you that you are yet to achieve. And this course will help you, nurture you, and guide you into ways to come into that realization of your dreams. And philanthropic leadership is about building stronger leaders, strengthening leaders, especially in this part of the world. You know, about charitable acts, about good works, yet leading by example, leading with the works that you are doing. You see, this is the thing that is lacking in our society these days. And I'm glad that we have the initiative to bring this forward so that we can have it. A lot of leaders are self-centered these days. A lot of them care about themselves, me, myself, and my family. Nobody cares for the society. And the problem we have is that if this continues, what is going to happen to the next generation and the generation after that? That's why I'm glad that this is coming on, because we need people who care, people who can lead by helping others, people who can develop others, people who can help to realize the goals of other people and not just focus on themselves. These are the ingredients of this course. These are the things that will be taught, as well as the ways to achieve them. We have to begin to build for the future generation. We have to begin to look. You see, it takes somebody who sees beyond today. It takes somebody who sees beyond tomorrow. It takes somebody who sees the far future to come on this kind of course. Because it's about building for the future. It's about making it easier for your children and for your children. I'll tell you a story. So a gentleman came for an interview in the United Kingdom. And when he sat and the man began to ask him about the family name, this name is familiar. This name, I've heard it before. He traced it to the fact that it was his grandfather, through philanthropic leadership, that gave him scholarship to school in the United Kingdom. And now the grandson has come for an interview. I mean, there's no way he's going to fail that interview, which is why I keep telling people, see, the evil that men do, they say live after them. But the truth is that the good that men do also tend to live after them. So as you embark on this course, I welcome you from Zimbabwe, from Uganda, from the United Kingdom, from the United States, and I can assure you that you have come to the best place. It is interactive. The leaders are passionate. The teachers are very passionate. The dean of admin is passionate. They will answer your questions. They will relate with you. And you are free to express yourself as if it's a family meeting. That's why we're different. Once again, I welcome you. God bless you. And I trust that at the end of this course, you would have been a much different person. God bless you. If you don't mind, I'd like to say a short prayer to kickstart the course. So if you would just bow your heads wherever you are and just close your eyes, we'll say a short prayer and we can start the course. Amen. Father, we bless you for a day like this. I thank you for this gathering. I thank you for this school. I thank you for your help to thus far. And I thank you for all the people, the students, the executive that you have brought forth. It is not by accident. I know that it is by design. That's why I'm asking, Lord, that everything that they shall learn here, you will guide them. You will give them wisdom. You will give them knowledge. You will give them understanding. You will replenish whatever they have spent 1,000-fold in the name of Jesus. I ask that you will guide the teachers. You will guide the dean of studies as well. And everything will be followed in line with will and not our will. We pray that everything shall go according to plan. There shall be no itches. There shall be no glitches. And at the end, the name of Jesus alone be glorified. Father, we leave everything into your hands and we commit it to your hands. We say, take charge and take control. In Jesus' mighty name we pray. And people say, amen.
And a very big amen to you. Thank you very much to our indefatigable chancellor. He is a leader. He's a true leader. You can't sit in one location and run businesses in about 5 countries. You have to have leadership capacity to be able to do that. And we thank you very much for the honor of serving as our chancellor. Is Honorable Majesty back on the line so you can give your remarks and then we can roll into class. Honorable. I just spoke with him and he was having some challenges. Dr. Jordan, are you back? Because we need to get into class. All right. Maybe we get Honorable to talk after the class because he has a little speech on behalf of the alumni for us then. All right. Okay. Thank you. All right. So we start class now. Good. One second.
Hello, good evening to you all.
Hi, 1 second. Yeah.
So sorry for joining in late. My name is Frank Martin.
Yes, sir. All right. So kindly stay muted. We're just starting class. So we just
okay.
opening ceremony and we're starting class. Yeah.
All right, so that's fine. Thank you.
Okay, please, can you see my slide? Yes, I can see it.
Yeah, yes, please, I can see.
Yes, please.
All right, okay, please stay muted now. So, like I said, 4 weeks, the first week, we're starting with leading from the heart. And then the second week, we have Dr. Jackson, then Dr. Jordan, and so on and so forth. So today, I hope you want to know the secrets for growing a nonprofit. We're going to have an exciting and very interactive time. First of all, I want to commend you for the few people who are online, but I think you haven't logged in fully. If you're having challenges, please log out and log back in. I want to commend you for the great work you do, whether you are a staff of a philanthropic organization or you're a leader of your own philanthropic organization. I want to especially commend you. Like the Chancellor said, you're very needed to make the world a better place. You are a superstar, and that is why you are here at Pali, to hone your leadership skills and your philanthropic leadership skills. You value knowledge, skills, and leadership, and that is incredibly commendable because it's not everyone who values knowledge. Some people think that other things are more important than knowledge or more important than skills and even leadership. It's only the very smart people that know the power of enhancing your leadership capacity. So I really commend you. We're all here to learn. No one is here to teach anybody. We're all here to learn together, unlearn some of the things, the wrong things we know, or some of the things that are not helping us. And of course, we're all here to grow together. So whether the person is a facilitator or an executive student, we're all here to grow together. So let's please start this learning journey today. I think it's important that I introduce myself briefly as I facilitate this class. My mission in life is to be a servant who inspires others to develop themselves in order to make the world a better place. I have been in people development for over 25 years, developing corporate leaders, entrepreneurial leaders, philanthropic leaders, and faith-based leaders. I serve as co-founder and president here at Pali. I serve as chancellor for the GH Media School in Ghana. We are a group of 5 schools. We have a media, cosmetology, and other schools. I serve as president of the Osei Foundation, which is the mother of Pali. And I've done a couple of training, do a bit of TV. I do a bit of TV and radio shows, but everything about my life comes down to service. Service is my priority. I felt I should share a little bit of my philanthropic journey so I can tie into why I'm presenting on this particular topic. So my philanthropic journey started in 1996. Soon after I had finished high school, we started organizing leadership conferences, and I served as president of this Future Leaders organization between 96 and 2004. Organizing leadership conferences for the youth. Between 2000 and 2004, I worked with a UK international NGO called Sight Savers International, and I served in the role of admin and finance, and I did a lot of monitoring of projects across Ghana, in the Gambia, Nigeria, and so on. I also founded a firm in 2004 that monitors and evaluates grants that are given to organizations. Between 2006 and 2011, I worked with the Australian High Commission in different capacities, including sitting on the grant giving board of the High Commission, the grant giving committee of the High Commission. And then in 2011, which is 11 years ago, I founded the Osei Foundation, which funds youth development programs. In 2019, we founded the Osei Foundation USA, which is now a 501c3, which is a registered charity in Maryland, USA. And then in 2020, co-founded the Pan-African Leadership Institute. This has been the best thing I've ever been privileged to be involved. Working in philanthropy has transformed my life, giving me friends and developed my gifts. I have seen the most amazing miracles in my life, and I couldn't be more thankful to be working within this field. For today's class, I'm going to be sharing a little bit on what philanthropy is, and then what is leadership. And then we're talking about leading from the heart. So what does it mean to lead from the heart? Then we will talk about this kind of leadership style that is able to drive philanthropy and leading from the heart. And of course, we'll conclude our class with the 10 secrets to growing a nonprofit. And these are well-researched secrets. And so I'm very excited about them, that they actually do work, and many of which some of us have applied in our own work and career. I want to start with a question to you. Please type your comments in the chat room, or maybe you can say it if there is time. Can you read this question and can you tell me what you think about it? What do you think about this quote? Not a question, the quote. Eleanor Roosevelt, a former First Lady of the US, said, "To handle yourself, use your head. To handle others, use your heart." What do you think about it? What's your thoughts on it? How do you understand this quote? Quite a tough one, right? So what do you think? I'm just going to the chat room right now to see what you think. If you want to say something, you can pop up your hand. You can pop up your hand and we can let you speak. Otherwise, you can throw your comments in the chat room. This is a very interactive class, so yeah. What do you think? Okay, we have Kira. Kira, Kira, please, do you want to speak? Oh, loads of hands. All right. Go ahead, Kira.
Okay. Yes, please. Please, good evening.
Go ahead. Please go ahead.
To me, to my own understanding is, should be ready to do it from the heart. You know, when you do something from the heart, you don't expect something in return. You do it without thinking of conditions. You don't even think about the negative or positive side of it. You just do it freely. But when you do it for yourself, you think twice. Is it really necessary? Should I go ahead or not? But when you do it from your heart, you don't really look at the cons or the cons. That's my understanding of it.
Thank you very much. Awesome. All right, Mr. Martin, please. What do you think about this code? Tricky one, tough one. What do you think?
I think it's really a tough one. I think that when you're handling yourself, you have to use your head, because you would naturally be empathetic towards yourself because your heart belongs to you. And so in terms of dealing with yourself, it's just about using your head, because you are naturally empathetic towards yourself. If you want to handle others, you have to go the extra mile, and the extra mile would require that it goes beyond just what your head tells you, but how do you relate to them heart to heart, kind of. So to yourself, it's already a natural instinct. To others, you have to go the extra mile. So that means that you have to use both your head and your heart before you can relate to others properly and emotionally. That's how I think, or that's my bit of understanding towards that.
Powerful, powerful. I'm learning. Because what you're saying actually is that when we are dealing with ourselves, automatically we use our heart. All right. We don't have to think twice about it. But naturally, exactly, when we're dealing with other people, we just use our head. So we have to be conscious about using our heart in dealing with people. Very, very awesome.
Yeah,
awesome.
Yeah, and doing the extra mile. Yeah,
Madam, Mrs. Akwa, please. What do you want to say about that?
Just to add a little bit to what Mr. Frank has said, you need a lot of emotional intelligence when you are handling other people. But with yourself, you can be a bit more logical, and it doesn't come with consequences because it's you. You can be hard, you can be soft. So as he was saying, you're already sympathetic towards yourself, but with others, you go with the head. So you need a lot of emotional intelligence to engage other people, because it can go wrong if it doesn't come out right. So you need to gauge the atmosphere, see what works with this person, what doesn't work with this person, before you can proceed and engage. Thank you.
Brilliant, brilliant. Let's take the final comment from Reverend Clement, please.
Thank you very much, Kofi. I'm also thinking that we have to use our heart. In using our heart with others, we are linking kindness, because if you want to extend a hand to people, it should spring from your heart. So if you want to be a philanthropy, then the heart is very, very key and important in that journey. But philanthropy, you don't think much about yourself, but you think about others. So that's what I want to say.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Just go into the chat room from Eddie. He says, I think you need both your head and your heart. I couldn't agree with you more. Divine says we have the power to control what happens to us, but to what we do to others. Right? You need to let me say.
Hello.
Mr. Trey, to mute yourself. Yeah. All right. Yes. What we do to others. Okay. All right. Reverend Opon says your head goes with thinking, planning, but using your heart needs to be compassionate, and so on and so forth. Thank you so much for that. All right. So excellent input from you. Let's start with, and I think you've all said it. There's nothing else to add to that. And I think I don't have time to go to all the comments, but in particular, I think Mr. Frank Martin's remarks sort of sums it all up. The fact that when we deal with ourselves, we love ourselves naturally so much so that we probably need to think a bit more and make sure we're being logical and not overloving ourselves as opposed to others. But when it comes to other people, where we normally discriminate against other people. And so we need to be conscious about using our heart and to engage other people. Now, what is philanthropy? Philanthropy is simply love for humanity. And so I celebrate all of you for loving humanity. It is also private initiatives for the public good that focuses on the quality of life for others. When you go into Moodle, you'll find our textbook for this course. And one of the chapters for this week talks a lot about charity. And so you see a lot about charity over there. Sometimes we try to distinguish between philanthropy and charity. Charity usually tends to be very quick fix to relieve a particular pain. But philanthropy is much bigger than that. Philanthropy sometimes, or a lot of the time, is more preventive. All right, so we tend to compare it with the proverbial giving a hungry person fish, which is charity, and then philanthropy it goes beyond giving the person fish, but then trying to teach that person how to fish. So let's situate this whole discussion of philanthropy for this next couple of weeks around the love for humanity. There's a lot of love within this discussion about philanthropy. Why is leadership so important? Why is leadership so important? Why are we connecting leadership and philanthropy? Why is leadership so important? In my view, leadership is probably the most powerful force on the face of the earth. Any of the philanthropic organizations that you work for, a leader started it. Or perhaps you are that particular leader we are talking about. It took someone like you to have the boldness to initiate that philanthropic activity. I was working for the Australian High Commission. It was a fairly good job. I like to travel, so it gave me travel, and it gave me a number of opportunities. But to have started and run my own foundation, it cost me to get out of that place and start the foundation. So without leadership, something significant, and without, maybe if I hadn't quit from that job, maybe the foundation won't be where it is, and then Pali would not have been born. All right, so it is powerful in creating things and in causing good or sometimes even negative changes in the world. Nothing significant happens without the initiative of a leader. Leadership unleashes the fullness of an individual's potential. So everyone has potential in life, but can I get something to compare with? Like a pipe, like a tube, like a pen. All right, so this pen represents the size of this ink represents the capacity. And so leadership capacity, when your leadership capacity becomes bigger, then a lot of things can flow through you. And so leadership is critical for the release of people's potentials. And so you can see someone with a lot of potential in them, but because their leadership capacity and skills is so small, they are not able to do a lot in the world. Almost everybody is super gifted, or everyone is very gifted. But the problem is the leadership capacity of that individual determines how much can pass through them, how much of their potential can be released. Because if you're not a good leader, example, with great emotional intelligence, you can't work with people, and so your potentials can't flow effectively to the world. John Maxwell taught us that everything rises and falls on leadership. And of course, you would agree with me that great leadership is the security of the next generation. Leadership is so important because great leadership is the security of the next generation. There is no future for our nations as long as we have ineffective leaders. It is ineffective leaders that ensure that we eat the pie of our future today. And so great leadership is very necessary to secure the next generation. Everyone is a leader, but only few are effective leaders. I want us to take maybe 3 minutes to have a quick discussion. I'm going to put a quote on the screen again, and I want to hear what you think about this quote and tell me whether you agree or disagree with it. And in fact, if you as a professor, philanthropic leadership professor, what score will you give this kind of description of leadership or perspective of leadership? So take 1 minute to quickly go through and then pop up your hand or put it in the chat room what you think about it. What do you like? What don't you like? What's your score of it? It's a description of leadership by John Holt. And whilst you read through, let me read this description of leadership. Well, Mr. John Holt says that, gives us a crazy concept of leadership. He says leaders are not, as we are often led to think, people who go along with huge crowds following them. Leaders are people who go their own way without caring, or even looking to see whether anyone is following them. Leadership qualities are not qualities that enable a leader to attract followers. On the contrary, a true leader or leadership qualities enables a leader to live or do without followers. And these qualities include courage, endurance, stubbornness, and resourcefulness. Now, we don't have the whole day to look at this, so pop up your hand or put in the chat room, what do you like about this? What do you not like about this? And what is your score? If you could give this a score of 100 in terms of how he's describing leadership, what score would you give it? Who is starting the conversation for us? All right, Madam Eunice, and I think by the next class, when you pop up your hand, I'm going to let you see the name of your organization. All right, Madam Eunice, please go first. Tell us the name of your organization and tell us what you think.
Okay, thank you. I'm from Philanthropic Ghana.
Excellent.
Yeah. For me, I'll start with the score. I think I'll give him 70%.
Okay.
The reason why I'm saying that is because if you want to be a good leader and you expect that everything you do is accepted, and as such you have a huge following, then it means you are not doing the right thing. So a good leader needs courage and endurance and stubbornness, like he's saying, to be able to do things differently, but achieve great results. That is what I think. So what he's saying is, it's very true. It's very, very true. Thank you.
Excellent, excellent. We don't have time. I was going to ask you if it's very true. Why are you giving him 70%? All right. Well, let's have Reverend Clement go for it, please.
I'll give 90.
Wow. Why? Why would you give him 90 when he's saying a leader shouldn't have followers? Please tell us.
I want to do a follow-up on what my sister just said, that leaders are to chart a path, but leaders are not to be followed. Leaders should break grounds and set people free. So when you have people following you, then probably you are leading wrongly or something is happening. So leaders go on the hard way, and sometimes people don't understand them, so you will not have a huge following. So that's why I'm giving the 90.
Very much appreciated. Thank you. We have Mr. Martin. Yep. Please tell us your organization and go straight for it.
Okay. All right. So my name is Frank Martin. I'm from Star Ghana Foundation.
Okay.
So I would score it. It's a dicey one for me, honestly. I would score it like 60%.
Okay.
I would score it 60% because in as much as we don't expect leaders to have huge crowds or people following them, I think one of the innate skills and qualities of a leader is that you should be able to get the buy-in of people. And so if you are doing something, how do you let others appreciate what you are doing for them to buy into it and probably give you the overwhelming support that you require? Because you would move, but you have to move along with others, because it's also a path that you are trying to let people appreciate how you do things. And so the portion of huge crowds, I'm not too sure if I would want to use the word huge, but at least you should get some significant followers because you are able to sound convincing and let others appreciate where you are coming from and where you are going to. So that's where my dilemma is. Otherwise, I think I appreciate fully the courage part, because it is not always that everybody would want to follow. But even if they do not, how do you still maintain your grounds and say, I just have about 1 out of the 10 people I expect them to follow me, but I still would be courageous and endure and want to be stubborn enough to still pursue whatever I want to do because I feel it's the right path. And so it's a 100% for me on that. But the other part is what is making me score an overall 60, because I feel in as much as you do all of these things, you should be able to also get buy-in by letting people appreciate where you're going, where you're coming from, and where you're going to. So that's where my dilemma is. And then I gave a 60. Over.
Well said, Mr. Frank. Maria Ligia from Brazil says, I believe leaders might not look for followers, nor work for it. But if they are real leaders, they would naturally attract crowds. People will look up to them and have them as role models. I give it 80% because this description definitely needs polishing. Madam Seriam Ananga, please, do you want to go? Tell us your organization and please share your comments.
So Anang Foundation, Philanthropic Ghana.
Okay.
I think I'll give him 80%, and 80% because I strongly believe that yes, leaders do not really attract a crowd, but they make an impact. The impact you make will give you the crowd. So that is true. The impact, if you are impactful in whatever you do, then the crowds are there. Naturally, they are there, and anytime they need to follow you, they will follow you out of your impact. And then, so the qualities and everything, it's not about who the crowds that you are attracting, but it is about what you are giving out without any resentment. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The challenge with what you're saying is, you see, what he's saying is not, he's saying that a leader must have 0 followers, saying a true leader. He says that even the few people following the leader, his qualities must repel them. So that's really deep and strong. All right, thank you very much for your 80%. John from Zim in Uganda, please, do you want to speak, sir?
Thank you very much. My name is Jean. I'm from the Reverend Runyanje Memorial Foundation in Uganda, but I live in Zimbabwe.
Okay.
So I'm not very sure about this description of a leader, because the words like leaders are people who go their own way without caring. Leaders must care.
Yeah.
Or even look back to see if anyone is following them. If you don't have any following, what are you leading? So I think there has to be a balance. There has to be a balance. You have to be courageous, and you have to be resourceful and have stubbornness and endurance, but you must also find a way of making sure that people follow you. Because what are you leading? That's my, I think I'll give him 50%, and the 50% on the courage and endurance and stubbornness and resourcefulness. But I think we must find ways of getting people to follow us. It doesn't have to be a huge crowd, but we must care. The care, that word care, I think is very important.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much, Madam Jean, for 50%. I see a lot of people are around 80%. Mr. Deladem, 80, Reverend Doctor is 80 as well. Can we take 2 quick comments and then we carry on with the class? From Mr. Andrew, Uganda, US. Yep.
Yes, thank you. I'm Andrew Ndayambaje. I'm also from the Reverend Yohana Runyange Memorial Foundation. So going after my sister and co-founder, actually, Jean, and echoing on what she just said, and also Frank said something in similar to what I was thinking. So
it was a different place from the church. That big church, they couldn't do research.
There's got to be some muting. I don't know if it's Andrew yet.
Pastor and everybody.
Can you hear me? I think there's somebody in the background talking.
Oh, is that Elijah? Please mute yourself. Yes.
But they didn't know that they use Google this thing.
Andrew, I think it's
Google Map, then Pastor Paul and that. What's that? Where we are going from?
Oh, sorry. Okay. Yeah.
I think there's somebody in the background talking, so if they can mute themselves, I can continue.
Is it possible for the administrators to mute all of us so that anytime we want to talk,
please,
then
no
we
one
can
to turn on. And where's Robert? Yeah. Yeah, carry on.
Yes, thank you.
Carry on.
From the beginning, I'm saying that I'm also from the Reverend Johanna Runyange Memorial Foundation, based in Uganda, but I'm here now based in the US. So echoing on what my sister and co-founder of the organization has just said, and somebody I think called Frank, one of the colleagues here in class, my biggest problem is about they not caring and not looking back to see if you're a leader, you want to nurture those that you're leading. So you have to care about who you're leading and see if they are stepping into the right, direction as leaders or future leaders, So that not caring is problematic. So I'm giving this leader, the court, 60%. For all the other qualities of courage, endurance, stubbornness, and resourcefulness. But like what my co-founder and colleague Jean just said, and sister actually, the problem of not caring and not looking around to see who you're leading and where they're getting into is just a problem, just very problematic. So yeah, that's my comment. Thank you.
Excellent input from you, Andy. All right, so let's carry on. Otherwise, we spend the rest of the day on this interesting description of leadership by John Holt. So, what percentage will I give this description myself? I think 0%. No, I'll give John Holt 200%. For me, this is the best description of leadership that I've ever come across.
I'm close to you.
For me, this is the best description of leadership that I have ever come across. Why do I think this is the most fantastic description of leadership? John Hall tells us that when a leader looks back, he doesn't see followers. He says when leaders don't care about followers. And he says a leader and his qualities or her qualities actually repel followers. What John Holt is telling us, that true leadership or great leadership, he's not talking about average leadership, he's talking about the great leadership. Great leadership, when a great leader looks back, he sees no followers. When he looks back, he sees leaders. Mr. Chair, you keep on muting yourself. Please do mute yourself forever for us. Thank you. When a great leader looks back, he sees other leaders. So leaders don't look back to see crowds. When they look back, they see other leaders. Why? Because leadership is not about developing followers. True leadership is about developing leaders. The calling and the game of leadership is about reproducing other leaders, not producing followers who become sycophants. And so a true leader is measured by how many leaders and greater leaders they have made. And so that's why you listen to all the greater leaders and they will tell you that. Even Jesus would say that greater works would you do. You look at how the eagle raises the eaglet, and it has to take it through the very tough process of making it not a follower, but another leader. In other words, true leadership is about producing other leaders. And that's what John Holt is telling us, that true leaders don't care about followers. They are not trying to raise followers. They are trying to raise other leaders. So for us as leaders and philanthropic leaders, our focus is how are we developing leaders? How are we making people that become better than us? And there again, I think it was Roosevelt who said that a good leader makes other people see them as good leaders. But when you meet a great leader, you see yourself as a great leader yourself. So they replicate and reproduce leadership in others. I want to show us briefly my favorite definition of leadership as we begin to journey along from philanthropy leadership into the kind of leadership that gives us tremendous philanthropic excellence. There are over 600 definitions of leadership, but my favorite one is this one by Dr. Monroe. And brilliant definition of leadership, which says leadership is the capacity to influence others through inspiration, motivated by passion, generated by vision, produced by a conviction, and ignited by a purpose. 7 key words that makes up perhaps the most comprehensive definition of leadership in the world. And we can't have time to look at all of this. But the greatest thing you should remember about leadership, please, is that leadership is about capacity. It's about capacity. It's like water. Water comes in capacities. It comes in the capacity of a bucket or a bottle, and you can get it into a big tank. You can get into a river, and you can get it into the ocean. And the bigger your capacity to influence others, the more effective you are as a leader. So leadership is capacity to influence others. That is fundamental. As a leader, you remember that you do have some capacity. Every one of us in this class has a capacity to influence. We're influencing our families positively or negatively, our staff, our colleagues, our bosses, our societies. We're influencing our nations, and we are influencing our world. The question is, what is the level of our leadership capacity? And then I have another question for us. What are some of the ways that you can expand your leadership capacity? If leadership is capacity and a stretchable capacity, now the question is, what are some of the ways that we can expand our leadership capacity? If leadership is the pipe that determines how effective we can be, how much we can release our potentials, how effectively we can transform our societies, our capacity determines how effectively we can influence our societies. Everyone here has a dream, has a vision that they are working on, but your leadership capacity is going to determine how well you're going to be able to deliver on that vision. And my question is, what are some of the ways that we can expand our leadership capacity? Any quick thoughts? Any quick thoughts? This time, maybe kindly put it in the chat room. Just put in the chat room for us. Any quick thoughts about how we can expand our leadership capacity? What are some of the ways that we as leaders can enlarge our capacities in order to be more effective? Yeah, exactly. Mr. Frank says learning platforms like this one. Good. By producing more of our kind. Excellent. Any others? Madam Eunice says through evaluation, correction, and continuous learning. Excellent. Constantly learning and unlearning. Excellent. Being passionate. By Joy from Nigeria. Excellent. Any more? How do we expand our leadership capacity? All right. I like Joy. Joy started for us. Passion for leadership and self-development. I will jump anywhere when I hear the word leadership. Anywhere I hear the word leadership, I want to be there. Why? Because I need to expand my capacity. Leadership is the thing that makes someone sit in one location and run organizations around the world. I used to spend a lot of my time with young people, and I found young people saying they don't have time to read, they don't have time to do anything just because they're doing a first degree. I'm like, wow. Do you know that one person has over 500 businesses and a person is sitting in one location? What makes an individual do that? There are people who have 2 employees and they can't sleep at night. And there are people who have hundreds of thousands of people working for them and they are on vacation. The difference is their leadership capacity. So to grow our leadership capacity, first is the passion for it. That leads to what Ruby is sharing us, curiosity, and so on and so forth. Constant learning, training courses, reading books, reading leadership development books, but also mentoring and coaching and volunteering are all different ways in which we can expand our leadership capacities. And now we're going on leading from the heart, And I'm excited to take a reference from here on the African continent for leading from the heart. A lot of the time we are referencing the West. It's good to reference Africa when there are materials. We need to invest as Africans a lot more into research so that we can refer to a lot of African codes. And of course, there's so much wisdom all over the world as well. So according to Olanrewagu, people who lead from the heart are those people, she's trying to help us describe people that lead from the heart, are those people who are more concerned about the well-being of their workers, much more than the work that a person is doing. So when we talk about leading from the heart, we're talking about leaders who are very concerned about their people. They have people skills. Leading from the heart are people who lead with emotional intelligence. Leading from the heart is when you strive to build an enduring relationship with your staff and with your colleagues, and you do everything to remove all the barriers that limit a friendly working environment. When you're leading from the heart, you go beyond the call of duty to see to the welfare and the comfort of the people that you are serving and the people that you work with. Those who lead from the heart are never too busy to listen to their subordinates. They never let their staff go away with the impression that they are burdened and they are not important. Leading from the heart is not about domineering and being boastful. Leading from the heart is about compassionate leadership. And that ties in 100% with the next thing that we're going to look at. Leading from the heart. And so, what style of leadership radically drives philanthropy and helps people to lead effectively from the heart? By the way, it's important to balance this. When we say leading from the heart, it doesn't mean you should never lead from your head. And I think if we go back to that initial discussion we had, we said that naturally when we're dealing with ourselves, we actually deal with ourselves with our hearts. But we seem to be very, very logical and shut our hearts when we're engaging people. And leading from the heart, when we're dealing with people, it's important that we involve our hearts the same way we involve ourselves. And we have described some of the things that goes with leading from the heart. But connecting that to leadership, what style of leadership can radically drive philanthropy? And what style of leadership helps all of us to lead effectively from the heart? There are many styles of leadership. There is the transactional style of leadership. There is the autocratic style of leadership. There is the quiet style of leadership. There is the charismatic style of leadership. There's so many different styles of leadership, but study shows that there's a particular style of leadership that can catalyze philanthropy and that can catalyze leading from the heart. And this approach is what was popularized by a gentleman called Greenleaf in the 1970s. Now, this approach of leadership has always been there for centuries and centuries, but he helped to popularize that concept called servant leadership. And it's so practical in helping to drive philanthropy. In servant leadership, the leader is leader second and servant first. When we talk about servant leadership, it means that as a leader, as a philanthropic leader, as a business leader, as a political leader, as a traditional leader, you see yourself first as a servant before leader. Actually, it came out of a story. And so Greenleaf read a story about a group of people that traveled from one country to a very far place. And as they journeyed, there was one guy amongst them who did all the dirty work. And so when their clothes were dirty, he washed it. And when they needed water from a well, he ran to go fetch that water. He, excuse me to say, did all the dirty job for them. But they traveled as a group without a leader. They were just together as a community going to this new place. And it took them many years to arrive at their destination. And they were able to get there because that guy was actually doing all the dirty work. Now, It was when they arrived at that destination that they actually found out that the leader who had actually commissioned the whole trip was the guy who was doing all the dirty work, and they never knew about it. And that was where Greenleaf took that concept of servant leadership from. And so the servant leader is the one that does the service, sees the people as the object for which he or she is rendering service. And I like to posit that when it comes to philanthropic leadership, it's all about servant leadership. We're not here to be bosses over the people that we serve. I remember I was in a meeting with another philanthropic leader, and we were having a conversation with a beneficiary. And I could sense the tone of the conversation that this person was having with this person that we are jointly supporting, or that we work to support that person. And from the tone, you realize that the person speaks as if I'm doing you a favor. You know that, but for me, you will not exist. You know that I am the one doing ABCD for you. I'm the one doing that and that for you. That is not servant leadership. When it comes to servant leadership as philanthropic leaders, it's about seeing the people that we are helping. And I work in the area of disability. We serve people with different forms of physical disability, or they may be vulnerable in one way or the other. For me, they are my bosses. They are the people I am serving. They are the people whose feet I must wash. They are the people when they need water in the middle of the night, I must get up and go find them that water. They are the people that I serve. And can I be a bit controversial? I have fired a staff before for mistreating some of the people that we are serving. It's very important that as philanthropic leaders, we see ourselves as servants of these people that we are serving. Can you imagine if we can take it so far into political leadership, that even political leaders can begin to see themselves as servant leaders, serving the people who put them into power. But today is about philanthropic leaders and not political leaders. I believe we're as guilty as political leaders when it comes to being lords over the people that we serve through our philanthropy. There are many ways in which we can engage people as servant leaders. It involves deep listening. It involves empathy. And can I say this? Let me be controversial, it's okay. And you can ask me questions or even bash me. But sometimes I'm amazed, as I got into the second point, I'm amazed even when it comes to religious leaders and a number of religious leaders looking or positioning themselves as lords over these people. And yet some of the leaders, some of the founders, if you look at the greatest leaders that we've seen, like Christ, or even some of the Eastern religions and different religions, you find that they were real servants. And yet today, I have a friend, one day I saw him on Facebook, and he is a leader of a church, and he sits in a throne like a golden throne. And I'm wondering, what kind of leader are you? Are you a king? Are you? Anyway, so that's my controversy right now. But servant leaders, whether religious leaders, philanthropic leaders, I don't think we are lords and royals. Now, I can understand that in traditional leadership, but I cannot understand that when we're working in philanthropy or even religious leadership. It's a place for service. And so servant leaders engage people, and I'm passionate, so bear with me. Don't bash me, just ask me questions and I can share my views. It's okay for us to disagree to agree on some of these things. Deep listening, empathy, foresight, stewardship, commitment to growth of people, shared vision, love, humility, and so on and so forth. These are some of the critical areas that servant leaders engage people. And again, all of these slides and all the slides and the videos will be available for you within Moodle for you to access. How does leading from the heart and servant leadership impact on philanthropy? It helps to create enduring organizations. When you read Good to Great by Bill George, you see his studies over many years showing us how servant leadership and how leading from the heart, authentic leadership tends to create lasting organizations. And I know that all of us as philanthropists seek to leave a lasting legacy. If we truly want to leave lasting legacies, then this is the way to go, by leading the servant leadership way. because it helps to build great teams. It helps to create a sense of belonging. It helps to attract support and growth to us. Who doesn't want to be helpful to a leader that is genuinely serving people rather than lording himself or herself over other people? And so, drawing from the principles and the benefits of servant leadership and leading from the heart, can we now kindly look at the 10 secrets, secrets to growing a nonprofit, drawing from these principles that we have shared already. All right, so the first secret before I start, can I take any questions, comments, or contributions? As we said, the learning is this way, that way, and across board. So there may be something you want to chip in quickly. We're learning together. We're open to unlearning even some of the things that we know already. So any quick comments, anyone wants to jump on and ask a question or make a contribution or confirm something that we have said? Any quick comments, please? Yes, sir. Mr. Frank, please.
Doug, I think I just like this bit of the presentation. And I think I like the bit about the servant leadership. It's just so much on point. I can just relate to it 100%. I've always been telling my colleagues at work that the literal trait of a servant is to be humble. And so literally what we had all known servants to be are people who are always humble and trying to kowtow to their leaders. And so this current generation of leadership, I think we should just pick that trait and say that if you're a servant leader, one of the things you should always do in your line of work or relating to people is just to be humble. And so that humility is what brings out that kind of service that you need to render to your people. Anybody who is a leader who doesn't want to practice the servant leadership thing you're talking about are those who are bossy over people. But that humility is what instigates that trait of humility in you. And that's the only way you can do to probably come down to the level of serving the other people. Otherwise, if you are bossy, that bit of humility is just out of you. And it would make you not be able to practice what the servant leadership is all about. So I just relate to it. And I think it's something that we all should get to that point so we can become very good leaders, like in our society or probably as philanthropic leaders. So just a take on what you have said and to say that I just buy into it 100%. Over.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. Anybody wants to make a final comment, and then we can jump on. And as you were talking, just reminded me about one of the greatest sayings we ever had, that when we are, Mr. Trey, do you want to speak? Your mic just went on. That the greatest will be the least. And I think there is so much, can I use the word miracles? There's so much miracles that happens to leaders that humble themselves and are humble and are servants. And some way, somehow, support seems to come from somewhere to transform our organizations. None of us has all the resources and all the connections to be able to build great philanthropic organizations or to play our part, even if we are not the heads of that organization and we are just workers there. We don't have all it takes, but when we are humble and we act as servants, I think some kind of miracle seems to happen that transforms everything you do. I can't explain that very well, but I think I can't say I'm humble. None of us is. We're all trying, isn't it? Anybody wants to add something? And then we
Yeah, hello?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Go for it. Go for it, Mr. Trey.
Yes. So good evening to everyone. So
tell us your organization again, please, and then speak.
Yes, so my name is Pastor Trey from Love Leads International and Youth Preparation for Better Future. We're based in Sunyani. Yeah, so I want to touch on the servant leadership. Any true leader must possess that qualities of humility. Any true leader who does not have this quality of humility or these traits of humility, unfortunately, Kofi, I don't see that person as a leader. Like you rightly said, you look on TV stations and then you see pastors sitting on a chair that looks like a cane or something, forgotten that our Lord himself was so humble to the extent that he could even wash the feet of the disciples. So for me, servant leadership is very important, very paramount, very crucial, and it's so divine that if we have that qualities of servant leadership, definitely those around us will be able to approach us and share with us their concerns. So I go for the servant leadership. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. And I just feel like going back to that slide, I wish I had time for you to throw in. Can I ask this? Just help me in the chat room, because this is definitely 1/1,000,000th of the benefits of servant leadership. Anyone wants to chip in here? How can servant leadership transform our philanthropic work and our philanthropic organizations? Anyone, please chip in. Just type it in the chat room before we carry on. We're going to run through this in the next 20 minutes. Could you type in what are some of the other benefits that servant leadership brings to our philanthropic work? All right. So there's a question from Ambassador Bonaparte. Can you explain what a dead goat syndrome is? So we can address it. But whilst you're explaining this to us, how does leading from the heart and servant leadership grow our philanthropic work? Because if it's not going to grow our philanthropic work, then we should find another style that may work better. So please share your thoughts. How does it? Okay, Divine says it connects us to more people. People like humble people, right? Right. Ambassador, please, can you explain what the dead goat syndrome is, so we can address it? Mr. Chair, please kindly permanently unmute yourself. Mute yourself. All right. All right. Creates a sense of involvement, brings prestige and self-actualization, draws support and love for the work you're doing. It makes people love what you're doing. Excellent. Ambassador Bonaparte, so when you do share what the dead goat syndrome is, we'll address that. I believe that's a metaphor for something. All right, so let's jump on to the 10 secrets to growing a nonprofit. I don't know how far you want to grow your nonprofit, where you want to take it to, but definitely these ones will help you and will help all of us. These are some of the things we're all learning and doing together. And yes, good. I was going to say that. Okay, let me not say that. All right, so number one is visionary, being visionary. And when we say visionary, it's not just for the founder of your philanthropic organization or the head. Even if you are a worker or you are staff of a philanthropic organization, you can also be visionary. It's about seeing the bigger picture. I'm sure you're aware of the story of the man who was enthusiastically sweeping or mopping the floor of the NASA in the United States, the space agency of the US. This person is a janitor, and this person was working with so much energy, although the person was paid sort of peanuts. And people were amazed at what this person does. One day they wanted to find out what was his secret. Was it the money he was getting, or was it some special sort of conditions of working? He said no. He said he was so thrilled because he was helping to put a man on the moon. Why? What will drive so much energy to accomplish something that is almost impossible? It is the vision. And usually we say it is shared vision. And so to grow our philanthropic organizations, whether we are the the heads, or we are workers within that space. It is to be able to ourselves as well as the people that we're working with to help them to have a shared vision of where we're going. Is the vision of your philanthropic organization available everywhere you go? Is it visible? Can the cleaner at your office, can the security guard share with a stranger what the vision and the mission of your philanthropic organization is? If the answer is then there is a problem. It's important that the vision is very clear, because people are obviously driven by vision. If you really have a philanthropic organization, then I'm sure, and I can say for a fact that you have a big job ahead of you. You don't have all that it takes. You are certainly setting out to do something that is bigger than yourself. Mr. Divine, we are muting you, so please stay muted. So you need a lot of energy yourself, and you need a lot of energy from all the people around you, and that is going to be delivered through visionary leadership. The vision must be written down. The vision must be very clear. The vision must be visible to everyone. I personally would always love to have the vision of my organizations opposite me. So whether I like it or not, I'm just looking at it, because the more you look at the vision, the more it begins to materialize. So to grow impossible dreams, the vision must be clear and must be very visible. And as you keep looking at it, you're going to eventually believe in it. The second, number two, how do we grow our nonprofits? How do we grow our philanthropic work beyond the vision that we have set for ourselves? And by the way, let me go back to vision. Sometimes we need to revise our visions. It's not just because it's impossible, but visions can evolve. The vision with which you started may not be the vision with which you're growing it. I remember when I registered our foundation many years ago, the vision wasn't even very clear what I wanted to do. What was clear was passion. Passion was clear that I wanted to make a difference. I wanted to do something, but as to exactly what I was going to do, it was very blurred. And I started off with a passion, trying A, try B, try C. And there were a number of them that I dropped, but there were others that were working. And so with time, I had to evolve the vision, refine the vision, get input from the team, get input from stakeholders in order to refine that vision to a vision that is deliverable. And so, of course, the fact that we're saying that look at the vision doesn't mean when it gets to that place where you need to revise that vision and refine it, so to speak, you shouldn't do it. It helps because the vision is what eventually is going to drive the accomplishment and the growth. Delegation is the second secret to growing a nonprofit. Delegation is the way to create growth, because one person can never build Rome. It took a lot of people to build Rome, and it took a long time. If what you're trying to build is maybe an ant house, a tiny ant house, maybe fine. But if what you're trying to build is your own kind of a Rome in which the world is a better place, your country is a greater place, your community is a greater place. And Dr. Jordan and I, we can't wait to hear more about the amazing work that everybody is doing, the life-changing things that you're all doing, for which we feel extremely honored to serve you as part of this course. And what you're trying to do is definitely bigger than you, and delegation is the way to go. Delegation is like teaching a child to lace a shoe. You show the child, and then you let the child do it whilst you watch, and then you take a risk and allow the child to do it going forward. And so that's how we teach people. Sometimes we criticize people because we didn't teach them well. We must first do it for them to see, do it with them, and then let them do it whilst we watch, and then gradually let them take over And as we delegate more and more, we're going to go up and be able to do bigger things that we need to do as leaders. The best way to develop people is to delegate to them and empower them, give them emotional support, give them words of reinforcement, even when they didn't do so well the first time, allow room for self-direction, encourage professional growth. And of course, delegation can sometimes be a word. It may be a very simple word, but the truth of the matter is that you cannot delegate, you cannot grow a nonprofit or any large institutions without taking the risk to delegate. And of course, choosing who you delegate to sometimes is tough, and sometimes it's a risk. And I realize that some people delegate to people bits at a time. And as you're getting to know them, you are delegating more and more, but it does require some level of trust. Let's carry on. I think you've spoken about this third secret to growing a nonprofit locally and globally. I should say I feel very blessed. Example, to have people overseas and people. I live in Ghana, perhaps to have people in the US and other places voluntarily serve and give to organizations that you sort of initiate. And I think it takes all of these things that we are sharing to be able to get different people coming on board, initiatives that we start. And like we said, it starts with that clear vision, and it starts with delegating. And then we're talking about humility. Humility is the secret to great things. Great things happen to people who are humble. But humility is very difficult. It's very difficult. I don't know if anybody on this course is humble. Please, I want to learn from you. What I have come to realize is humility is extremely difficult, and it requires daily maintenance. It requires the ability to consult and to get feedback. And we are all going to be shocked the day people decide to actually tell us the truth about how prideful or how proud we are. But we must be willing to hear them because we can never see the level of our own pride. Some of our pride has covered our eyes, and so we can't even see the next thing. But humility is so crucial in catalyzing growth. Pride repels people away from us. Pride makes people not want to help us. Pride is what makes us look down on the people that we are serving. And so it takes a lot of humility for us to look up to the people that we are serving. Again, I share a personal example here at our foundation, and we have a conference coming up. In previous conferences, we get all the experts to come and speak, but this time we're getting our beneficiaries to share their stories, and we're working with people, some of whom are visually impaired or hearing impaired. And we're beginning to realize that visually impaired people know things that none of us know. Like we live by our eyes, but they live by so many senses. And especially those of us who are visual, we're missing out on so many things. The hearing impaired have incredible talents and giftings. They dance to music by receiving the vibration of the song from the ground. And yet, how many of us who can hear me right now can say that you can hear what I'm saying to you from your feet? They can hear what I'm saying from their feet. They can listen to the vibration of it and interpret it. So there is so much we can learn from even the people that we claim we're serving. It takes only humility. It involves vulnerability, listening, continuous learning. Humility involves memento mori. Memento mori. Memento mori is from the Romans. It's from the Romans. The Roman Empire was an iron empire, was a massive empire. There's probably nothing like that empire today. And when the Romans went to war, they came back with their generals, and you find millions or hundreds of thousands of people in Rome saluting these generals. They were almost like demigods. But the Romans were kind of wise, and they made sure that they gave each general who won a war, as he rode back into the city of Rome on his massive chariot, celebrated by everybody and feeling like a god, they made sure that that general had a servant, standing behind that servant. And as the general rode in that chariot, the servant will shout or whisper into his ear behind him and say, memento mori, memento mori, memento mori. Why? He's telling the servant, remember, you are mortal. Remember, you're going to die. Remember, you are not going to be alive forever. Remember, you are a human being. They were wise. They made sure that to keep these generals alive, they needed somebody to always remind them how mortal, how human they are. And we all need it. We all need it as we grow in our philanthropy. Maybe you are helping somebody who's so poor and you feel like you're so big and you're almost like a god, or we all are tempted to feel like that. But I hope we remember memento mori. Why? Because any one of us can become visually impaired. Any one of us can become disabled. Our children could suffer the same predicaments of the people that we're helping. Haven't we read the stories of people whose parents were very rich, and when they died, they became very poor and needed other people's help? I hope memento mori helps us. And that's the third secret to growing a nonprofit. Number 4 is hiring and structure. I like what a friend of mine in the US, a great friend of mine, she was actually supposed to be one of the facilitators for this course. She runs a very successful foundation in the US, and that's fantastic work. She said to me, hire slow, fire fast. If we're going to grow our nonprofit, my friend says, hire slowly and fire fast. As we recruit people into our philanthropic organizations, we must be very careful. We must be careful that we bring on board the right kind of people. We must look for people who have competence, people who have character, and people who have chemistry. These are the 3 C's of recruitment that Einstein gave us. It's important that we hire very slowly. But my friend says, fire fast. When you have employees who bring down the organization or they begin to lose whatever, don't wait for them to decay the entire organization. Fire them respectfully, fire them properly, pay them benefits, but certainly maybe be careful that you don't keep around people that will eventually bring everything down. Well, that's my friend's advice. We don't agree, we can go to that person. But I think there's some wisdom in it, and I can assure you I've experienced it one way or the other. It's important that as part of our structure systems, we have trustees, we have boards of advisors who help to guide the mission, vision, and take it to that growth place that we want to see, and ensuring that we build accountability structures within the structure of our organization. Accountability structures means that you are not the founder, the accountant, the cashier, the report writer, the banker, the everything. It's important that we build structures. We have different people, even if they are volunteers, that do different things, so that there is some level of accountability in the work that we're doing. Number 5, fundraising, 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 fundraising. How do we grow large philanthropic organizations if we are not effectively fundraising? We must develop competence and build our confidence in the area of fundraising. Fundraising is a skill, and it is a developable skill. It's like riding a bicycle. We can learn it. I wish I could apologize for citing too many personal examples, but I can say that I could never do any kind of fundraising, but after doing a number of fundraising training, and I remember 2019, I was in a very good fundraising, and it radically changed the way I raise funds. So over the years, I've gone through a number of fundraising training programs, and it has built my confidence in how to effectively fundraise in order to grow our organizations. And so you're very fortunate. On this course, a core part of it is learning how to effectively fundraise. So that's going to be covered. In fundraising, you want to make sure that your skin is in the game. It's not fair for us to go out there and tell people to give us money to do things when we ourselves are not willing to put our skin in the game, or we are not sacrificing ourselves. Fundraising is friend raising. And there are very few shortcuts to fundraising other than going through the friend raising process. People give to people and not to institutions. In other words, when you have contacts and connections and you build friends, that is why we emphasize a lot here at Pali networking. Some people on this course know some of the places where funding is coming from. And so don't take yourself out of these group discussions of all the networking. Don't take yourself out. You don't know who is going to be able to open a door for you. Fundraising is friend raising. Someone said that big gifts are by shoe leather and not by letters. Big gifts or big donations come by shoe leather and not by letters. In other words, if you want to get a big financial boost to your philanthropic work, it's not going to be by sitting in one place and sending letters and proposals and emails. You must actually walk office. You must go for events like you have come here and meet people, because these people can open doors rather than just writing letters which disappears and no one knows you, no one endorses you, and no one opens the door for you. So big gifts come by shoe leather and not by letters. One more on fundraising is about giving back to your donors and saying thank yous. They are organizations that never say a thank you. When you give to them, even if they say thank you, it's only once. But true thank you should be said many, many times. If we can just keep going back to the people that give to us and keep thanking them for one thing that they gave us a long time ago, we're going to be able to multiply the resources that come to us, and we're going to be able to grow our philanthropic organizations. I can share this. So I have different partners and different people that do different things to help our work. And I can say for a fact that as much as possible, I start every conversation with them with a thank you. Every conversation with them with a thank you. When we start talking, the first thing I say, thank you so much for helping with our work. There may be people familiar with me, but I still don't take thank yous for granted. I think it's a key to people continuously giving to us. Number 6, we have a few minutes to go. Clear communication is a key to growing our nonprofits. Clear internal and external communication, choosing the right mediums for communicating to our internal staff and to the external staff, mastering the art of listening, and the speed of trust, as well as mastering communication technology, the internet, social media. All of these are ways that we can use to grow our nonprofit. And again, like we said at the beginning, the way we expand our capacity is by learning and continuous learning and mentoring and having the right people around us so that we can expand on the capacity in this area. Studies tell us that more than 70% of the mistakes and the challenges that we encounter within our working environments is as a result of poor or ineffective communication. So communication is a very important area that we need to develop. How do we communicate our logo? How do we communicate what we stand for? How consistent are we in terms of our corporate colors? How consistent are we in terms of the messaging that we're putting out there? That's a lot of work for us. As part of the communication issue, I want to have a quick input for you on trust. How trust is connected with effective communication. This is number 6, so we do have a few to go. Okay, good, we're in time. Can I ask you a quick question? Should you trust people or you should not trust people? You want to put in the chat room or pop up your hand? We have about 10 minutes to go. Should you trust people or you shouldn't trust people? Should you trust anybody 100%? And should you trust some people 0%?
Yeah.
Who is going?
Yeah, can I come in?
Please go on.
Can I come in, doctor?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so it's a very complicated question. It's yes and no. for me, what I do is that I'll trust you. I give people enough benefit of doubt. I'll give you the room. You misbehave, number one. Oh, he's a human being. He's going to stop it. Second time, third time, I'll fire you. The trust will leave. So you trust, we have to trust people until they prove themselves they are not trustworthy.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like your contribution. So is who, for instance, should we trust 100%? Is there anybody that we should trust 100%? Anyone? Who do you think we should trust 100%? Maybe like your spouse. I'm talking about human beings. Someone say God, obviously God. Obviously. Okay, human beings. What kind of human beings should we trust 100%? Like, what about spouses? I like that. Hajia, Dr. Amina says we should trust ourselves 100%. I like that. Anybody else? Who should we trust 100%? Okay, all right. Who should we trust 0%? Or people that deserve less than 0? Like some people perhaps deserve -10, like credit criminals and so on and so forth. What do you think? Who should we trust 0% or less? Like they don't deserve trust at all. Okay, Hajia again says no one. Okay. Don't you think there are some people who deserve 0? People who are suspicious. All right, okay. All right, good one. Good one. First of all, I think nobody deserves 100%. Not even ourselves, in my opinion. I mean, if you trust yourself 100%, you can never forgive yourself when you mess up. And I think everybody here has messed up before. If you've never messed up, please pop up your hand. But don't we even disappoint our own selves sometimes? Maybe someone said something, you were so angry or pissed off, the way you reacted, you shocked yourself. I think nobody deserves 100%, apart from the creator, no human being. Because when we give people 100% and they make a mistake, it's completely disastrous. We can't handle it. And so even for the closest people to us, we may have to leave some room for some doubt, maybe 90-something%. But more importantly, it's about the 0% trust people that I want to talk about. Truth is that nobody deserves 0%. Everybody deserves some trust. Why is trust so important for communication? Why is trust so important for team building and for growing organizations? It is because trust is the currency of relationships. When you don't trust someone at all, you can't sleep on the same bed with that person. When you don't trust someone, you doubt some of the things they are saying. Especially, we're all adults, so let me bring in a married context. If your spouse did something extremely horrible and you lost trust for the person, I mean, you second guess that person every time they're doing something. You always wonder what they're up to next. And so the relationship is almost completely destroyed. Without trust, we can't build a team. Without trust, we can grow. And unfortunately, there is so much mistrust in society. There's political mistrust, there's racial mistrust, there's ethnic mistrust. And because of that, we're not getting the best out of relationships. So the advice here is that even for people that don't deserve our trust, we should give them a second chance. We should give them the gift of trust. We should, when people drop the trust that we had in them, we trusted them to handle this money well and they destroyed it. It doesn't mean we can't fire them. You can fire them, but forgive them. And if you can't give them a second chance somewhere, do give them the second chance somewhere. It really, really helps. Because even when, let's say the person stole something from your organization, you fire the person, you don't trust the person ever again. But maybe one day you're going to realize that that person has changed, or that person has become, I was going to say has become a politician. Please don't bash me. I'm a politician. My friends are politicians. My family members are politicians. You are a politician, so don't bash me. All right, that's a joke. All right, maybe that person you thought was a bad person today has become very powerful and you need the person's help. So if all of the trust is gone, what are you going to do? So it's important that we still trust people and give them a second chance in some way or some shape or some form. Why? Because our greatest helpers may come from some of our greatest adversaries. It's important to build high trust relationships. No one deserves 100, no one deserves 0. Number 7 is entrepreneurial mindset. Growing a philanthropic organization requires that we have an entrepreneurial mindset. We may not be business people. Like me, I'm not a business person. Some of you are. But even if we're not business people, we can think like entrepreneurs and apply the skills of creativity, innovation, and thinking outside the box to our philanthropic work. I remember I was in the UK for a business conference, and it was for business people. But you know what? I learned something that I translated into our philanthropic work and has been one of the strongest backbone of financing our work. And I don't know if I would have learned it anywhere except around some entrepreneurial business people and ways that they were growing their business and translating some of those concepts into a philanthropic environment. And so we can all learn a lot and do a lot with learning and thinking like entrepreneurs. That is the way we grow. The typical entrepreneur is always looking for every opportunity to expand their business. And we can apply the same principles to our philanthropic work or ministry work and so on and so forth. As long as it's not driven by selfishness, but it is driven by the good of humanity for us as philanthropists. Faith is, for me, a requirement in growing our nonprofit. Faith means daring to think big, having faith in yourself. And that was what the last course spent time on. And the women on the course here who are on that course can testify. Ladies like Joy from Nigeria, Gloria from Ghana, Ligia from Brazil, they can testify all that we learned about self-confidence and why many people are not able to grow their organizations as a result of the lack of it. Faith in ourselves. You got to believe that you can do it. You got to believe that, you got to believe it when everyone is doubting you. And all of us have been there, and sometimes we are there. And many people look at us and ask, why don't you get a better thing to do with your life rather than be a philanthropist, rather than work in rural communities? They're almost telling us to get a life, and yet you must have faith in yourself to keep doing it. Faith in your dreams, faith in your God. Take bold decisions. Have a thick skin, which means you can't let all the naysayers get into your heart, and you got to stay focused and have faith in it. Hanging around people who are bold and people who are able to dare to do the impossible. Why? Because philanthropic work is difficult. It's emotionally tough. You're trying to save lives, and sometimes you don't have all the resources, and yet you need to have faith that you can do it. You're trying to rescue people that are going through a lot of struggles. Faith is being an optimist, and it's a catalyst for growing a nonprofit. Teamwork, we can't do without a team. Learning from our team, knowing the emotional intelligence level of each of our team members will help us to relate well with them. There is an emotional intelligence exercise that we can give to our team members, and when we so that we can all know their level of emotional intelligence. That way we can relate very well. It involves respecting team members, valuing them, celebrating their success, giving them positive feedback, and living by the golden rule, which is treating people the way you want to be treated. These are all very important ways of building a team so that we can grow our nonprofit. Building a team locally, building a team nationally, and building a team internationally. to be able to support the great work that we're all doing. Last but not the least, networking, relationship building is crucial for growing our nonprofits. Again, in the last course we had a facilitator called Michelle Dudley, who's a very successful philanthropist as well. And she shared with us the 4 main sources of capital. The first one is social capital, financial capital, human capital, and even spiritual capital. And Michelle shared with us that perhaps the biggest of them is our social capital, which is our network and our relationships. And the good news is that next week's class is going to be around how we can build relationships, how we can fundraise, and how we can effectively grow our nonprofits. On that note, I want to say a big thank you to everyone. And then we take some questions and then some final remarks from our Dean of Executive Students. There's a lot of food for thought for you today. This video is going to be loaded in Moodle, so you can go in Moodle and watch all of this. The slides will be there. We have a textbook for this course. And when you go into Moodle, it's very easy. But of course, if you're having any challenges, just WhatsApp our Dean, Madam Nina, and she'll be happy to assist you. But you have the textbook information all in Moodle. So it's there for you to grow, expand your philanthropic leadership capacity. And guess what? Even the sky cannot be the limit. Thank you. Any questions, any contributions, any feedback as we bring the class to a close? I can't wait to get to that class where everyone gets to introduce themselves. That's going to happen. All right. Any questions, contributions, feedback?
Just a question. You mentioned, hi everybody, I'm Tishana from Jamaica. You mentioned when you were talking about fundraising as, you know, one of the main skills.
Yes.
I'm wondering, for somebody who is early in their philanthropic process and they might be thinking, you know, how do I approach fundraising to start? Especially if you don't have a lot of track record to show that you have executed other grants well, or, you know, how do you start fresh in the fundraising space?
Excellent and very relevant question, Tishona. So we'll put that question up for next week. So we'll deal with that. Next week is a fundraising class. So we'll make sure that your question is addressed there and pass that on to the facilitator as well. And if you do have more questions on that, we'll be able to clarify it next week. Thank you. Any final remarks or questions? Thank you for putting your comments in the chat room. Thank you. Nina, please, where are you? Good. Hello, Nina. Hello, Nina. Okay. All right, class is over. Who should I? Oh, it's good to see everyone. Oh, good to see so many, and especially some of our returning executive students in class. So you're going to hear about your groups. Read your emails. You get to know your groups, the group you belong to, and so on and so forth. Oh, can I try Nina for the last time? If not.
Hello, Doc. Good evening.
Yes, ma'am. That's my boss. Please go ahead and close the class for us. Thank you for your hard work and making sure that all our 44 executive leaders are enrolled. Thank you very much. Please, can you close the class with your remarks? Thank you.